a gladiator whose courage silenced the entire Colosseum, the son of Rome. A gladiator whose courage silenced the entire Colosseum. The sun of Rome burned mercilessly over the Colosseum. The sand scorched the ground. The air trembled with shouts, wagers, and hunger for death. That day, the noise was deafening, until Marcus Valerius stepped into the arena. He did not raise his weapon to provoke the crowd. He did not shout. He walked in silence, head held high, his body marked with scars. He was a veteran gladiator, known not for cruelty, but for honor. Marcus fought as if every battle were his last. He did not humiliate his enemies. He did not strike from behind. In the arena, where almost no one did, he respected the unwritten laws of valor. That day would be his final trial. Across from him stood a savage fighter, infamous for finishing opponents without mercy. The crowd roared, craving blood. The fight was brutal. Swords clashed with violence. Shields shattered. The sand turned red. Marcus was wounded in the side. Blood ran freely beneath the burning sun. His legs trembled, but he did not fall. Every blow he received, he answered with greater resolve. He was not fighting to survive. He was fighting to show who he was. In a decisive moment, he brought his enemy down. His blade hovered at the fallen man's throat. The Colosseum screamed. It demanded death. Marcus took a deep breath, looked at the defeated man, and lowered his sword. Silence fell over Rome. No one understood what they were witnessing. A wounded gladiator choosing mercy. The emperor watched. The crowd stood frozen, holding its breath. Then, slowly, applause began. Not roars, not screams, but steady, respectful claps. The thumb rose. Marcus Valerius did not celebrate. He stood there, blood-soaked, beneath the unforgiving sun, while the entire Colosseum remained silent. Because that day, Rome learned a truth it would never forget. Blood may win battles, but only honor can silence an empire. The story of the gladiator who never stepped back from death. The sun burned high over the Colosseum. Thousands of voices roared, hungry for blood and glory. From the dark tunnel, a lone man stepped into the arena. Aurelius, the gladiator Rome would come to call the lion of the Colosseum. He was not the strongest. He was not the fastest. But he possessed something rare. He never stepped back. Not from fear. Not from pain, not from death. In his first fight, he faced 3 men at once. The crowd expected him to fall within seconds. But when the dust settled, Aurelius was still standing, wounded, breathing hard, yet unbroken. That day, Rome began to chant his name. With every battle, his legend grew. While others hesitated, he advanced. While fear stopped many, the lion charged forward. The fight that made him immortal came on a tense morning. Across from him stood a massive, undefeated warrior. Their clash shook the arena, steel, blood, and sand flying. Aurelius fell to his knees. The Colosseum fell silent. The giant raised his weapon for the final blow. But the lion rose, bleeding, exhausted, never stepping back. With one last strike, he brought the giant down. The Colossus fell. The lion remained standing. The crowd erupted. The emperor raised his thumb. Aurelius did not celebrate. He simply bowed his head to the people. And so Rome learned a truth it would never forget. As long as courage exists, the lion of the Colosseum will never step back from death. The slave who conquered the heart of the Roman people. He entered the arena in chains. No armor polished with pride. No name worth remembering. Only a number and the weight of slavery. His name was Cassian. He was not born a warrior. He was taken from his land, sold, beaten, and trained to die for entertainment. To Rome, he was nothing more than another body for the sand. But from his very first fight, something was different. Cassian fought not with rage, but with heart. He protected fallen opponents when he could. He saluted the crowd, not as a beast, but as a man. And the people noticed. Each time he returned to the arena, the cheers grew louder. Not because he was cruel, but because he was human. In one brutal match, Cassian faced a young gladiator barely able to stand. The crowd demanded blood. But Cassian lowered his sword and stood between the boy and death. The arena fell silent. Then applause. Slow at first, then thunderous. From that day on, Cassian was no longer just a slave. He was acclaimed by the arena. His greatest battle came against a ruthless champion, feared across Rome. The fight was savage. Cassian was wounded, bleeding, barely standing. Yet the crowd rose to its feet, chanting his name, not for violence, but for courage. With one final strike, Cassian won. He collapsed to his knees, alive. The emperor stood. The chains were removed. Freedom was granted. Cassian did not raise his arms in triumph. He looked to the crowd, the people who had given him something greater than victory. They had given him dignity. And so Rome remembered him not as a slave, but as the gladiator who conquered its heart. It was not an act of war. It was a decision. From the ancient heavens, the watchers observed the earth in silence. They were neither gods nor men, but something in between, guardians of balance, witnesses of the experiment. Their purpose was not to rule, but to observe, not to interfere, not to become involved. But the earth changed, and so did they. They saw a world prepared, purified after the great fall, ready for a new creation. They saw hidden laboratories, living machines, and the design of a humanity still unfinished. And for the first time, they felt something that was never written into their mandate: compassion. When they descended, the sky opened like a wound. They did not fall as meteors, but as conscious shadows. Their steps shook the land, and their presence altered the established order. Where there had only been observation, there was now contact. The watchers taught. They revealed fire, numbers, agriculture, and writing. They raised structures, aligned stones, and measured the heavens. But with knowledge came desire, and with desire, transgression. Those who were meant to watch without touching chose to remain. They sealed pacts. They took form. And they crossed a boundary that was never meant to be crossed. That was the true descent, not from heaven to earth, but from obedience to rebellion. From that moment on, the experiment was no longer under control. That in the next chapter, we will uncover the oath the Watchers broke, and how their decision gave birth to a new race that would change the fate of the world forever. Before the first human breath, the earth was already alive. Its skies were different. its waters deeper, its land shaped by forces no longer present. Ancient creatures walked freely across vast continents, and ecosystems flourished without fear. There was order, but not human order, a balance designed long before humanity was imagined. Hidden beneath layers of stone and time, structures once stood where no civilization should have existed. Perfect angles, impossible geometry, traces of intelligence erased by catastrophe or intention. This world did not belong to Adam. It belonged to something older. Some believe the earth was a testing ground, a place where life was shaped, observed, and corrected. Failures were buried, successes refined. Extinction was not an accident, it was a reset. When the old world fell, its memory was sealed beneath oceans and sediment. What remained was silence and preparation. Only after the earth was emptied, only after the world was made obedient, did the next phase begin. And then humanity was introduced. In the next chapter, we will uncover who watched this ancient world fall, and why the earth had to be cleansed before Adapa was created. Before human history began, the Watchers descended. Ancient, luminous beings carrying knowledge far beyond Earth, they observed a young and violent planet. Later texts would call them sons of God, but their mission was precise: to create a being capable of working, obeying, and adapting. Thus, Project Adapa was born. The Garden of Eden was their first testing environment. Not a paradise, but a closed system designed to control every variable. Stable climate, endless food, no predators, no scarcity, and above all, no choice. Adapa was introduced as the first successful hybrid. His body was perfected, but his mind was restricted. The Watchers understood that full awareness would introduce a dangerous variable: disobedience. Knowledge, therefore, was sealed away. The forbidden tree was not divine punishment. It was a switch, a point of access to moral awareness, self-consciousness, and the ability to question one's creators. One Watcher, later remembered as the Serpent, recognized the flaw in the design. A being without knowledge could never evolve. Breaking protocol, he gave Adapa what was forbidden: awakening. The transformation was immediate. Adapa did not die. He thought. He felt. He feared, and he understood. Eden reacted like any laboratory when an experiment escapes control. The system shut down. Access was revoked. The expulsion was not a moral curse, but a permanent disconnection. Outside the garden, true humanity began. Labor, suffering, but also freedom. Project Adapa had failed. Or perhaps, it had succeeded in a way the Watchers never intended. In the next chapter, we will uncover what happened when some Watchers refused to leave Earth, and how their defiance reshaped the destiny of humankind forever. Before the law was written and before temples were built, there appeared a man without origin or ending. His name was Melchizedek, king of Salem and priest of the Most High God. He did not rise from a lineage, nor was his priesthood inherited. He came quietly, clothed in humility, yet carried an authority that silenced warriors and bent kings to reverence. Where others ruled by strength, he ruled by peace. When Abraham returned from battle, weary and stained by war, Melchizedek met him, not with weapons, but with bread and wine. In that simple offering was a blessing older than sacrifice, a covenant before blood was demanded. And Abraham, father of nations, bowed his head and offered a tenth, recognizing a priesthood greater than his own promise. Then, as suddenly as he appeared, Melchizedek vanished. No record of his birth, no account of his death, only a shadow left behind, pointing forward through the ages. His priesthood was not bound to time. It whispered of a future grace, of a priest who would come not from the altar of stone, but from eternity itself. A priest who would bring peace, not through law or fear, but through love. Melchizedek remained, a mystery written between the lines of Scripture, a sign that God's plan was already unfolding long before humanity understood it. And his story was not the end, it was the beginning. In an age before temples of stone and doctrines of power, Jesus spoke words not meant for crowds, but for those who dared to awaken. These were not teachings of fear or reward, but sayings hidden like fire inside language, waiting to be discovered. Thomas listened carefully. He was called the doubter, yet he was the one who questioned deeply. Jesus did not speak to him of kingdoms above the clouds, but of a kingdom already living within every human being. If you bring forth what is within you, it will save you, the teacher said. The word struck harder than any blade. The disciples grew uneasy. There were no rules to obey, no thrones to inherit, only a dangerous truth: to know oneself is to know God. Such knowledge could not be controlled. Jesus walked among stones and trees, pointing to the ordinary world. Split a piece of wood and I am there. Lift a stone, and you will find me. Creation itself became sacred scripture. These teachings were whispered at night, written in secret, and buried beneath sand and silence. Not because they were false, but because they made humanity free without permission. The Gospel of Thomas does not build an institution. It hands the seeker a mirror, and once a person looks into it, there is no turning back. In the next chapter, we will descend deeper into the forbidden texts that history tried to erase, and uncover why their truth was feared.
The kingdom is within you, hidden like a seed in the sand.
The teaching of Jesus did not arrive with swords or armies. It arrived quietly, and that is why it was dangerous. For generations, faith had been built on fear: fear of punishment, fear of exclusion, fear of a distant God who watched from above and judged from afar. Institutions grew strong by guarding the gates of forgiveness, deciding who was clean and who was condemned. Then Jesus spoke of love. He spoke of a Father who runs toward the lost, not away from them, of mercy placed above sacrifice, of forgiveness offered before repentance was demanded, and the foundations began to shake. Jesus ate with sinners. He touched those declared unclean. He defended the broken instead of accusing them. He taught that understanding heals more deeply than punishment, and that love transforms what fear can only restrain. You have heard it said, he told them, but I say to you. With each word, ancient certainties trembled. The leaders listened and felt threatened. If God could be known through compassion, then control was lost. If forgiveness was freely given, then fear lost its power. If love fulfilled the law, then violence in God's name stood exposed. Jesus did not abolish faith. He revealed its heart. And that heart was dangerous to those who ruled through condemnation. Crowds followed him not because he promised safety, but because he offered truth without chains. Yet every act of healing, every word of mercy, widened the divide between love and power. They could not silence the message without silencing the man. Still, the teaching spread, quietly, relentlessly, because love does not need permission to grow. And even now, it continues to unsettle every system built on fear rather than grace. In the next chapter, we will witness how this message of love led inevitably toward confrontation, betrayal, and the decision to extinguish the light, believing it could be buried forever.
Blessed are those who seek peace, for they shall find the kingdom within. Let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. Blessed are those who seek the light, for they shall find hope and truth.
After the words were spoken, there was no thunder and no fire from heaven. There was silence, a silence that forced every heart to turn inward. Jesus looked upon them with compassion. He knew that many had been taught to search for God in distant heavens or behind sacred walls. Yet he came to reveal a deeper truth. God does not dwell only in temples made of stone, but in the living heart of humanity. The kingdom does not come with signs to be observed, he said gently. They will not say, "Look, here it is," or "There it is." For the kingdom of God is within you. Some felt peace, others felt fear. To seek God within meant facing one's own wounds, one's own darkness, and also the divine spark that had never been extinguished. Jesus walked among the weary and the forgotten. He touched the unclean, lifted the broken, and saw in every person a dwelling place of the Holy One. He spoke not of outward sacrifice, but of transformation of the heart, not of fear, but of light. Whoever knows himself, he taught, will not be ruled by darkness. And these words healed in ways no miracle ever could. But such teaching was dangerous. A people who discover God within themselves can no longer be easily enslaved. And so some closed their ears, while others began to plot silence. Still, the seed had been planted, and it continues to grow in every soul that dares to seek with humility and truth. For the true temple is not built with stone. It is built with an awakened heart. In the next chapter, we will reveal how these teachings were hidden, distorted, and fiercely opposed, and why inner knowledge was seen as a threat to religious and political power. The Maya, echoes of time. Deep within the Mesoamerican jungle, where morning mist rises and the calls of unseen birds break the silence, lies the legacy of a civilization that defied time, the Maya. They were not merely builders of stone. They were architects of the cosmos. Their cities were raised in harmony with the heavens. Pyramids aligned with the movements of the sun, the moon, and Venus. Every stairway, every temple, every shadow cast across stone carried both scientific precision and sacred meaning. While much of the ancient world struggled to measure time, the Maya mastered it. They predicted eclipses, charted planetary cycles, and understood time not as an end, but as an eternal transformation. Yet their knowledge did not dwell only in the sky. It lived in the earth, in maze, in ritual, and in the profound bond between humanity and the divine. For the Maya, science and spirituality were inseparable, woven together into a single ancestral wisdom. Then came the silence. Cities were abandoned. The jungle reclaimed the temples. Stone was swallowed by roots and shadow. To the modern world, the Maya seemed to vanish. But they did not disappear. Their knowledge slept beneath the canopy, carved into stone and written in the stars, waiting to be rediscovered. Today, as we walk among their ruins, we do not merely observe the past, we hear an echo, a message that still resonates across centuries. We are not separate from the universe. We are part of its rhythm. This is the story of a mysterious, advanced, and deeply enigmatic civilization. A story written in stone, sky, and time. It began within hours. In Caracas, the dead rose and the city collapsed. Streets flooded with zombies, buildings burned, and screams were swallowed by smoke. No local force could stop the spread. From the sky, cutting-edge military helicopters tore through the clouds. Elite U.S. forces deployed into the city, turning avenues and plazas into war zones. Gunfire echoed endlessly, yet the zombies kept advancing. As night consumed the capital, one truth became undeniable. Caracas could no longer be saved, only contained. When the helicopters pulled back, a final message remained clear. Caracas was not the end. It was the beginning. The serpent of knowledge. Before humanity, there was an experiment, beneath what would later be called paradise. Hidden behind living walls of light and code, the Anunnaki built a high-security biological laboratory. They did not pray. They did not worship. They engineered. Inside a glowing incubation chamber, Subject Adapa took his first breath. His DNA was not purely human. It carried fragments of something ancient and foreign, celestial code woven into flesh. He was the first successful hybrid, designed for strength, obedience, and labor. But something went wrong. Or perhaps something went right. Among the creators, division grew. Some demanded control and submission. Others feared what they had awakened. And then Enki arrived. He moved silently through the lab, serpent-like symbols flowing around him, his eyes filled with knowledge rather than judgment. Later generations would call him the serpent. Not a demon, but a scientist. A rebel. They made you to serve, Enki whispered as he altered Adapa's genetic sequence. I will give you the power to understand. When knowledge was released, alarms shattered the stillness. The overseers descended in fury. Eden was sealed. Memories were fractured. Fear was implanted deep into the human mind as a control mechanism. They would later call it original sin. But it was never a sin. It was a forbidden upgrade. Humanity was cast into the world, confused, vulnerable, yet carrying an unerasable spark, consciousness. A memory buried deep in DNA, echoing through myths, dreams, and sacred texts. And the serpent disappeared, or so we were told. Because Project Adapa was never terminated. It was hidden, rewritten, disguised as scripture. And now, it is awakening again. In the next chapter, we will continue uncovering the forbidden archives of Project Adapa, revealing who the Watchers truly were, why the Giants were born, and what role humanity still plays in an experiment that never ended. The question is no longer who created us, but why they are still watching. Evangelio de hoy. Jueves, 8 de enero de 2026. Lucas 4, 14 a 22. En aquel tiempo, Jesús volvió a Galilea con la fuerza del Espíritu, y su fama se extendió por toda la región. Enseñaba en las sinagogas y todos lo alababan. Fue a Nazaret, donde se había criado, y entró en la sinagoga, como era su costumbre, el día sábado. Se levantó para hacer la lectura y le entregaron el libro del profeta Isaías. Lo desenrolló y encontró el pasaje donde estaba escrito: El Espíritu del Señor está sobre mí, porque me ha ungido. Me ha enviado para anunciar la buena noticia a los pobres, para proclamar la liberación a los cautivos, y la vista a los ciegos, para poner en libertad a los oprimidos, y proclamar un año de gracia del Señor. Luego enrolló el libro, lo devolvió al ayudante y se sentó. Todos los que estaban en la sinagoga tenían los ojos fijos en él. Entonces comenzó a decirles: Hoy se cumple esta escritura que acaban de oír. Y todos daban testimonio a su favor y estaban admirados de las palabras llenas de gracia que salían de su boca. Reflexión breve. Jesús proclama que la salvación no es una promesa futura, sino una realidad que comienza hoy. Su misión es llevar esperanza, libertad y sanación a quienes más lo necesitan. In the heart of East Africa, where the savanna stretches endlessly beneath a burning sky, the Hadza people live as they have for thousands of years. Their village is made of rustic bamboo huts, low and fragile in appearance, yet strong enough to endure wind, rain, and time. Smoke rises from small fires as the morning light filters through woven walls of grass and branches. Life moves constantly between the huts. Children run barefoot through the dust, women prepare roots and gathered food, and hunters sharpen arrows in silence. The cabins sway gently with the wind, their roofs whispering stories of past storms and long journeys. Every sound matters here. Every shadow is watched. As night falls, firelight turns the village into a living circle of shadows. The huts glow softly, and elders speak in low voices while sparks rise toward the stars. Beyond the fragile walls, the savanna listens. Lions roam in the darkness, and danger is never far. When storms arrive, the village bends but does not break. Rain pounds the bamboo roofs, wind shakes the walls, and families gather close inside the huts. Survival is shared. Fear is silent. At sunset, the hunters return. Their silhouettes cross the tall grass as smoke rises from the cabins behind them. No words are needed. The village breathes again. This is not a place of comfort or excess. It is a place of balance, between humans and nature, shelter and exposure, life and death. Here, among bamboo huts and endless plains, the Hadza endure, guarding a way of life the modern world has nearly forgotten. Gospel of today, Thursday, January 8, 2026. Luke 4 verses 14 to 22. At that time, Jesus returned to Galilee in the power of the Spirit, and news about him spread throughout the whole region. He taught in their synagogues and was praised by all. He came to Nazareth, where he had been brought up, and went into the synagogue, as was his custom, on the Sabbath day. He stood up to read, and the scroll of the prophet Isaiah was handed to him. He unrolled the scroll and found the passage where it was written, "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because He has anointed me. He has sent me to bring good news to the poor, to proclaim liberty to the captives, and recovery of sight to the blind, to set the oppressed free, and to proclaim a year acceptable to the Lord." Then he rolled up the scroll, gave it back to the attendant, and sat down. The eyes of all in the synagogue were fixed on him, and he began to say to them, "Today this scripture has been fulfilled in your hearing." And all spoke well of him and were amazed at the gracious words that came from his mouth.
And it is written, "Love thy neighbor as thyself," for in this commandment lies the path to peace and understanding.
12 legions unseen. The night was heavy in Gethsemane. Torches cut through the darkness as soldiers advanced, armor clanking, hands tight around swords. Betrayal stood at the front, a kiss still warm in the air. Fear moved among the disciples like a storm about to break. One blade flashed. Steel rang as Peter struck, and blood fell to the ground. The moment shattered the silence, and in that instant, the world held its breath. Jesus did not run. He raised his hand, and the violence stopped. His eyes lifted not in fear, but in certainty, toward a sky that looked silent, yet was anything but. For beyond the veil of night stood armies unseen. Legions upon legions of angels waited, wings folded, weapons of fire restrained by a single command. At one word, the earth would split. At one breath, the soldiers would fall like dust. Heaven itself was poised to descend, and he knew it. "Do you think I cannot call on my Father?" he said calmly, "and he will at once put at my disposal more than 12 legions of angels?" The soldiers laughed, unaware how close they stood to annihilation. But no command came. The angels did not move. Power chose restraint. Authority chose surrender. Love chose the cross. Jesus lowered his hand and stepped forward, allowing himself to be bound, not because he was weak, but because he was obedient. Not because heaven was silent, but because heaven was waiting. The angels watched as their king was led away. And the universe learned a truth greater than force. The greatest power is not the ability to destroy, but the strength to save at any cost. The Garden of Eden was never a paradise. It was a sealed place where heaven first touched the earth. There began the experiment, when the beings later called the sons of God altered human flesh and awakened a mind meant to obey, not to understand. But one among them opened what should have remained sealed, and humanity awakened. That was the true sin, knowledge. Cast out from Eden, humankind multiplied and split into two paths. The lineage of Cain built cities of stone and towers of pride. The lineage of Seth remembered the voice above, and in the days of Enosh, men began to call upon the name of the Lord, and their cry once again reached the heavens. Then came the second transgression. The sons of God looked upon the daughters of men and descended. From that forbidden union the Nephilim were born, giants of immense strength and unrestrained will. They ruled by violence, feasted in arrogance, and filled the earth with corruption. The experiment had spiraled beyond control. Yet amid the noise and the pride, one man walked differently. Noah found favor. While giants laughed and crowds mocked, he listened and obeyed. He built the ark under open skies, wood rising day by day, a warning no one believed. Then the door was shut. The sky broke open. The fountains of the deep burst forth. Towers fell, giants were swallowed, and the world that had crossed forbidden boundaries was erased by water. The flood was not only destruction, it was containment. When the waters withdrew, the earth stood silent. The giants were gone. The heavens were distant once more. But the experiment continued, this time with a warning written into the memory of the world. Whenever heaven and earth unite in pride, creation itself rises to restore the boundary. And that ancient story, though buried beneath water and time, has not yet reached its end. The Battle of the Archangel Gabriel. In Babylon, the prophet Daniel prayed with a troubled heart. He fasted, seeking answers for his people, and for days the heavens seemed silent. But the silence was not absence. It was war. From the moment Daniel began to pray, God answered and sent the Archangel Gabriel with a divine message. Gabriel descended through the heavens, carrying revelation and truth, but he was stopped. In the unseen realm, the prince of Persia rose against him, a powerful ruler of darkness. Their clash shook the heavens, light against shadow, obedience against rebellion. For 21 days, the battle raged, mirroring Daniel's fasting on earth. When the resistance could not be broken, heaven intervened. The Archangel Michael, commander of God's armies, descended with unstoppable authority. With a single strike, he shattered the hold of the Prince of Persia and opened the way. Freed, Gabriel continued his mission and appeared before Daniel, radiant and strong. From the first day you set your heart to understand and humbled yourself, your prayer was heard. Yet the war was not finished. As Gabriel prepared to return, he warned that another power waited in the shadows, the Prince of Greece, a coming darkness tied to future kingdoms. The message had been delivered. The prayer had been answered. The battle continued. For every time the faithful pray, heaven moves, angels fight, and though unseen by human eyes, no prayer is ever ignored. Under the broom tree, the desert showed no mercy. The sun burned high above, and the silence pressed heavily on the land. The prophet Elijah, exhausted from the long journey and the weight of his calling, finally collapsed beneath a solitary broom tree. His strength was gone. His spirit felt empty. "Enough, Lord," he whispered. "Take my life." There, between sand and shadow, Elijah fell into a deep sleep, overwhelmed by weariness and despair. Then a gentle touch awakened him. An angel of the Lord stood beside him, not with judgment, but with compassion. The angel spoke softly, "Get up and eat." Beside Elijah lay freshly baked bread and a jar of water. He drank and lay down again. A second time, the angel touched him and said, "Get up and eat, for the journey is too much for you." Strength returned not only to Elijah's body, but to his soul. He rose and began to walk. For 40 days and 40 nights, he traveled through wilderness and silence, until he reached Mount Horeb, the mountain of God. There, Elijah understood that he had never been alone. And so it is with us. There are moments when the road feels endless, when our strength fails and our hearts grow weary. But the Lord does not abandon us beneath the broom tree. He comes near, gives us what we need, and walks with us, until we are strong enough to continue. You are not alone. You never have been.
The forest knows you are here. I didn't come to hurt anyone. That is what they all say. You must be cautious. I sense great power in this meat.
You walk on living ground.
We are not separate from this world.
Weapons hot, eyes open. This planet is watching us. Sir, the ground is glowing. You walk on living ground, metal beings. We're not here to fight. Captain, they're everywhere. Your fear shines louder than your weapons. This planet reacts like a nervous system. Then we're cutting deep. The Sky Invaders do not listen. Then the world must answer. I was trained to destroy, not to feel this. Now you hear the planet breathe. Command orders full strike. There are villages out there! Defend the heart! They're everywhere!
You have killed a memory older than your stars.
Call it off. We finished the mission. I choose life.
The Cyclops is the giant with a single eye, a colossal creature born from ancient myth, brute force, and isolation. Legends describe it as an enormous being with one gigantic eye in the center of its forehead, an eye that watches without mercy and never sleeps. Its body appears to be made of living stone, muscles hardened by endless labor and survival. The Cyclops lives apart from the world of men, dwelling in caves and desolate lands. It does not farm. It does not build cities. It hunts. It survives. It endures. Feared by humans and gods alike, the Cyclops represents power without law, strength without civilization. Yet it is not a mindless beast. It knows fire. It forges. Remembers. In ancient times, the Cyclops was both monster and craftsman, creator of legendary weapons, master of iron and thunder. Its single eye symbolizes brutal focus, seeing only what stands before it, prey, threat, or challenge. The Cyclops is not evil by nature. It is ancient, it is alone, and it is unstoppable.
Saving your friend in a zombie apocalypse during a journey through the pyramids of Egypt. The scorching sun hangs over the pyramids of Giza as your journey turns into a nightmare. What was once a place of wonder becomes a battlefield when the dead rise from ancient tombs. Mummified zombies, wrapped in torn linen and covered in sand, emerge from hidden chambers beneath the pyramids. Your friend is separated from you inside a collapsing passageway beneath the Great Pyramid. Their voice crackles through the radio, filled with fear. You rush through narrow corridors lined with hieroglyphs, using torches and flares to light your way as shadows move along the walls. Zombies pour from secret tunnels. You push fallen stone blocks, slide down sand-covered ramps, and seal doors just long enough to survive. Deep inside the pyramid, you find your friend trapped near an open sarcophagus as the ceiling begins to collapse. You pull them free and run. Stone crashes behind you, burying the undead in dust and darkness. Together, you escape into the open desert as night falls. Under the moonlight, the pyramid stands silent, ancient witnesses to yet another apocalypse. You survived because you never left your friend behind.
The world did not sleep last night. It feels pain and anger. Sir, the terrain is reacting to us. Ignore it. Keep moving.
When the ground glows red, the world is warning us.
Increase extraction speed. The planet doesn't like this.
It's responding.
Is this the planet doing this?
No, this is the planet waking up.
A guardian has risen. That thing wasn't on the scans! Target it.
Do not fire.
If we shoot, we start a war. Then we finish it fast. You were warned.
Long before humanity, before even the first upright hominids walked the Earth, this planet was home to a non-human civilization, Atlantis. Its inhabitants were not human. They were reptilian humanoids, genetically advanced beings descended from an intelligence that arrived from the cosmos in a forgotten age. They did not conquer Earth, they selected it. Their biology was engineered for a young, unstable planet rich in geothermal and cosmic energy. Atlantis was not primitive. It was futuristic even by modern standards. Its cities floated partially above the ocean, held in place by planetary energy fields drawn from Earth's core. Towers of organic crystal and living metal rose from massive circular platforms, aligned with stars that no longer occupy the same positions in the sky. The architecture was not built, it grew. The reptilian Atlanteans mastered technology based on resonance, frequency, and consciousness. They did not rely on machines as humans do. They used the planet itself as their power source. Their temples functioned as planetary control nodes, regulating climate, tectonic movement, and oceans. Their greatest mistake was confidence. By manipulating planetary and cosmic forces, they disrupted the balance that sustained them. Earth's core destabilized. Oceans rose. The global energy network collapsed. In a single day and night, Atlantis fell. The island fractured. Cities sank slowly as energy fields failed one by one. Some Atlanteans escaped, some into the deep ocean, others into subterranean sanctuaries, and a few left the planet entirely. When humans emerged millions of years later, they found no visible ruins. Only myths, only serpent gods, only echoes buried beneath the sea. Atlantis was never a myth. It was Earth's first civilization, and its destruction was a warning humanity has yet to understand. Before he became a hero, Hercules was marked by the hatred of the gods. Son of Zeus, king of Olympus, and a mortal woman, he was born with a strength the world was not ready to face. From the moment he was born, his fate was sealed. Hera, consumed by jealousy, tried to kill him by sending two giant serpents into his cradle. He did not cry. He looked at them and crushed them with his bare hands. Years later, Hercules grew into an unstoppable warrior, loved by the people and feared by his enemies. But tragedy struck when Hera, in a final act of cruelty, clouded his mind. Driven mad, Hercules committed the greatest sin of his life. He destroyed the ones he loved most. When the madness faded, only silence remained and guilt. Broken and desperate for redemption, Hercules begged for punishment. The gods answered with a sentence: 12 impossible labors, trials no man should survive. He slew the Nemean lion, whose hide could not be pierced. He defeated the Hydra, cutting off heads that grew back stronger. He descended into the underworld and returned alive, dragging the fearsome Cerberus into the light. Every battle bled him. Every victory brought him closer to death and closer to legend. In the end, Hercules was no longer just a man of strength. He became proof that even gods can fall and that humans can rise. When his mortal body finally died, the gates of Olympus opened. Zeus called him home, and the man who suffered like no other ascended as a god. Because Hercules was not great because of his strength. He was great because he fell, paid for his guilt, and never stopped fighting. In an age ruled by corrupt kings and false gods, Elijah appeared without warning, no royal blood, no army at his side. He stood before King Ahab with a voice that burned like fire and spoke an impossible judgment. There will be no rain or dew except at my word. And the sky obeyed. The land cracked. Rivers dried. Fear spread through the kingdom. While the people searched for answers, Elijah vanished into the wilderness. There, when food and water no longer existed, God sustained him through ravens, bringing bread and meat day after day. Faith became survival. But the greatest test was yet to come. On Mount Carmel, Elijah stood alone against 450 prophets of Baal. One man versus hundreds. Two altars. Two gods. One eternal question. Who is the true God? The false prophets shouted, danced, and cut themselves, but nothing happened. Silence. Then Elijah rebuilt his altar, soaked it with water, when water was more precious than gold, and prayed once. Fire fell from heaven. Flames consumed the sacrifice, the stones, and even the dust. The people fell to their knees. Power was exposed. Truth was undeniable. Yet even after victory, Elijah faced fear, exhaustion, and despair. He fled, hid in a cave, and asked to die. And there, God did not come in the earthquake, or the wind, or the fire, but in a gentle whisper. Elijah learned that true strength does not always roar. Sometimes, it guides quietly. His story did not end in death. It ended in ascension. A chariot of fire descended from the heavens, and Elijah was taken alive, wrapped in flame and wind, leaving behind a legacy that still burns. Elijah was not just a prophet. He was a warning, a voice against power, a man who walked between heaven and earth, and was claimed by heaven itself.
Two million years from now, Earth is no longer the world we recognize. In scorched deserts, colossal creatures evolved to survive extreme heat and radiation. Above the storms, new amulets rule the skies, born from wind and lightning. In the darkest oceans, life grew larger, slower, and more ancient than ever before. Now, some species no longer think alone. They think together. This is science fiction. This is fun. Given time holds.
It wasn't the roar of an animal that warned the forest. It was the sound, a deep, unnatural buzzing, low, heavy, mechanical, like the air itself was being torn apart. Scientists detected it first through acoustic sensors. Then the beekeepers found the hives, silent, torn open, empty. Thousands of bees lay scattered on the ground, decapitated. There was no struggle. It was precise, efficient. The predator descended from the sky. The Asian giant hornet does not attack like other insects. It executes. Its massive orange head houses mandibles that don't sting, they cut. In minutes, a single hornet can erase an entire colony. Not for hunger, for dominance. When the first video surfaced, no one wanted to believe it. The insect was too large, too fast, too perfect. Its wings sounded like engines. Its stinger looked like a living spear. It didn't retreat. It didn't hesitate. It advanced. Bees, the backbone of global pollination, had no defense. And without them, balance collapses. Crops fail. Food chains fracture. Ecosystems unravel. This isn't a movie. This isn't a myth. It's a brutal reminder that nature doesn't need permission to become a threat. And it's already here. The creatures left outside the ark. Before the first rain fell, the world already felt its end approaching. The sky gathered in heavy silence, clouds pressing low over the land, while Noah worked on the ark, guided by a voice older than memory. Animals arrived two by two, lions, birds, cattle, wolves, moving calmly, as if the earth itself was leading them. The ark was not yet a refuge from water, but a boundary between what would be preserved and what would not. From the forgotten edges of creation, other beings appeared. Giants walked from the hills, their footsteps shaking the ground. Hybrid creatures emerged from forests and ruins, forms never meant to endure. They watched the ark with fear and expectation, believing they too belonged among the saved. They were wrong. The ark did not open for them, not because of their shape, but because of their origin. As the rain began, the sky broke open. Water fell in endless sheets, rivers burst their banks, and the world dissolved into motion and sound. Animals outside struggled against the rising flood, while inside the ark, order remained. Wood groaned under the pressure, but it held. Within the ark, common creatures rested, breathing, shifting, surviving. Warm light flickered along wooden walls as the storm raged beyond them. Outside, the rejected ran, flew, roared, and disappeared beneath the rising waters. Some legends say not all of them perished, that a few found caves, depths, or places untouched by the flood. And that is why, even now, humanity tells stories of monsters. Not as myths, but as memories of those who were left behind. The labyrinth breathed. Every stone wall sweated fear, every corridor seemed to shift and change. No one entered without losing something or losing everything. At the heart of Crete, beneath the palace of King Minos, lived the Minotaur. Half man, half beast. A monster born from the punishment of the gods and fed with the blood of the innocent. Its breathing was deep and heavy, like a war drum echoing through the darkness. Its horns bore the scars of countless battles. Its eyes burned with eternal hunger. Each year, young lives were cast into the labyrinth as tribute. None returned, until Theseus arrived. He did not enter as a victim, but as a hunter, son of a king, yet armed only with a sword, courage, and a vow to end the terror. Ariadne, bound by her father's fate, gave him the thread. It was not merely a path to escape, it was an act of defiance against fear. Theseus tied it to his wrist and descended. Darkness swallowed him. Endless corridors. Silence broken only by distant dripping. And then the sound. A heavy, another, hooves striking stone. The Minotaur knew it was not alone. When they met, the air itself trembled. The beast roared, a sound torn from the depths of hell. Theseus felt the creature's weight, pure strength, mindless fury, centuries of confinement turned into violence. The battle was brutal. The Minotaur attacked like a storm, charging, shattering walls, trying to crush the intruder. Theseus moved on instinct, rolling through shadows, feeling the wind of the horns pass inches from his chest. One mistake meant death. Steel struck flesh and bone. Dark blood spilled across the stone. But the monster did not fall. In a brief moment of stillness, Theseus saw more than rage in the beast's eyes. He saw pain. He saw loneliness. A life condemned from birth. He did not hesitate. With a final cry, he drove the blade into the Minotaur's heart. The last roar shook the labyrinth. The beast collapsed, and with it, the fear that had ruled Crete for generations. Theseus stood alone, breathing amid ruins and blood. He was not merely a victor. He was a symbol. For thousands of years, humanity has looked to the sky searching for answers. But the sky did not fall silent out of absence. It fell silent out of disappointment. When the gods first descended, they did not come as conquerors. They came as teachers. In Sumer, they taught humanity to read the stars. In Egypt, they taught stone to defy time. In Mesopotamia, they gave writing so memory would survive death. They did not ask for worship. They asked for balance. But humanity learned quickly, and forgot even faster. Knowledge became power. Power became control. And control became greed. Kings spoke with the voices of gods to rule. Priests sold the heavens for gold. Wars were fought in divine names the gods had never spoken. The gods watched in silence. They saw temples built not to honor, but to dominate. They saw sacrifices offered not from necessity, but from fear. They saw sacred knowledge used to enslave one human by another. And then came the final betrayal. Humanity tried to possess what was never meant to be owned. Immortality without responsibility. Weapons without wisdom. Power without limits. The gods were summoned, not to learn, but to obey. That day, the sky did not answer with fire. It answered with withdrawal. The gods did not die. They were not defeated. They simply left. They sealed their gates. They dimmed their voices. They left behind fragments, symbols, ruins, myths, and distorted memories. Not as punishment, but as a warning. For they understood something terrible. Humanity was not ready to be guided, only to command. And so the sky has remained silent, not because it is empty, but because it is watching from afar, waiting for the day humanity looks upward, not to ask for power, but to ask for forgiveness. The Garden of Eden was never a paradise. It was a restricted zone. What ancient texts later described as rivers of life and sacred trees were, in reality, energy conduits, biodomes, and genetic control systems. Eden was a high-security biological laboratory built on Earth more than 200,000 years ago by a civilization that descended from the sky, the Anunnaki. The forbidden translations of the Sumerian tablets do not speak of gods. They speak of engineers, scientists, and overseers. And they speak of an experiment, the Adapa project. Humanity was not created. It was designed. The Anunnaki arrived seeking resources, gold, rare elements, biological materials. But the planet was hostile, and their numbers were few. They needed workers who could survive Earth's environment and obey without rebellion. In underground laboratories beneath Eden, they began splicing their own DNA with that of primitive hominids. Most prototypes failed, either too aggressive, too intelligent, or incapable of control. Then came Adapa. Known later as Adam, he was the first successful hybrid. Intelligent, curious, but his genetic code contained a deliberate limitation, a neural restriction that suppressed independent thought, curiosity, and defiance. Fear was embedded into his biology. Adapa was not born free. He was programmed by the serpent. Not all Anunnaki agreed with the project. Enki, the chief geneticist, discovered something unexpected within the human genome, dormant potential. If fully activated, humans could surpass their creators in creativity, adaptability, and consciousness. But that potential had been intentionally locked. Enki questioned the morality of enslaving an entire species. His solution was subtle, hidden, symbolic, what later myths would call the serpent. Enki did not offer evil. He offered knowledge. Through a genetic intervention, he reactivated suppressed neural pathways in Adapa and the first female hybrid, later called Eve. Self-awareness emerged. Choice appeared. For the first time, humans understood they were not God's children, but property. The true original sin. The moment humanity became self-aware, Eden's systems detected a breach. Alarms activated. Energy barriers ignited. The Anunnaki Council declared the experiment compromised. This was later remembered as original sin. Not disobedience, but awakening. To prevent rebellion, the Anunnaki initiated an emergency genetic rollback. Shortened lifespans, amplified fear responses, emotional dependency, and a deep psychological need to worship higher beings. Humans were expelled from Eden not as punishment, but because the laboratory was no longer secure. Before she became a monster, Medusa was a woman. In ancient Greece, when gods walked among mortals and divine decisions shaped human destiny, Medusa was known for her extraordinary beauty. Her hair shone like gold in the sunlight, and her presence inspired admiration, not fear. She was a young priestess in the temple of Athena, goddess of wisdom and justice, bound by a vow of purity and devotion. But the gods did not always protect the innocent. Poseidon, god of the sea, desired Medusa. One night, inside Athena's sacred temple, he violated her. The crime took place where holiness should have guaranteed safety. When Athena discovered what had happened, her anger did not fall upon the god who committed the act, but upon the mortal woman who had no power to resist. Whether from pride, rage, or divine cruelty, Athena chose punishment over mercy. Medusa was transformed. Her beautiful hair twisted into living serpents, hissing and writhing without rest. Her skin turned pale and cold, and her eyes were cursed with a terrible power. Anyone who looked directly at her would be turned to stone. Cast out and condemned, Medusa was exiled to the edge of the world. There, she lived alone among ruins and shadows, surrounded by stone figures of men and beasts who had crossed her path. They were not trophies of violence, but silent graves, victims of a curse she never chose. Over time, the world forgot the woman and remembered only the monster. Heroes spoke of her danger, not her suffering. When Perseus arrived, sent by the gods, he did not see the broken priestess beneath the serpents. Using the reflection of his shield to avoid her gaze, he struck while she slept and cut off her head. From Medusa's blood sprang Pegasus, the winged horse, and Chrysaor, proof that even from injustice, something divine could be born. Her severed head, still powerful, was used as a weapon by Athena herself. Thus, Medusa passed into legend as a creature of terror. But those who know the truth understand this. The Nephilim, giants before the flood. Before the great flood, the world was already falling. In the ancient days, when humanity still feared the heavens, the Watchers descended. They were not sent as messengers, but fell by their own will, powerful angels who abandoned their place and crossed an eternal boundary. They looked upon the daughters of men, and desired what was forbidden. From that union came the Nephilim, giants of overwhelming strength. Their footsteps shook the earth and their voices thundered across the land. Where they walked, men fled. Where they ruled, mercy vanished. They built massive cities, raised stone thrones, and declared themselves gods among mortals. Their hunger was endless. Their pride knew no limit. War spread across the earth. Blood stained the soil. Violence became law, and creation itself groaned beneath their rule. What was meant for life was twisted by corruption. From the heavens, judgment was pronounced. The Watchers were condemned and bound in darkness, but the Nephilim remained, defiant, mocking the coming destruction. They laughed at warnings and trusted in their own strength. Amid this world of giants and ruin, Noah walked in quiet obedience. While the Nephilim feasted and humanity mocked, he built an ark beneath clear skies, guided by a voice only he obeyed. Then the day arrived. The sky broke open. The fountains of the deep burst forth. Rain fell without mercy, oceans rose, and the earth trembled. The giants ran, fought, and roared, but even their power could not stand against the waters. Towers collapsed. Cities vanished. The Nephilim were swallowed by the flood. When the waters finally withdrew, the world stood silent. The giants were gone, but their memory remained. For the story of the Nephilim is not only a tale of the past, it is an eternal warning. When pride rises above the heavens, creation itself will rise to restore the boundary. And so ended the age of giants, buried beneath the waters of judgment, yet echoing through time.